what I now want to talk to you about, I want to talk to you about the brain, right? And I am aware, by the way, that when I talk about the brain, I am by no means the most qualified person in a vast room of people to discuss this as an issue, right? There'll be somebody in this room who will be a neuroscientist or a neurologist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Is there anyone here who works properly in that field with the brain? Okay, first woman who shouted there, what do you do? You research meningitis, but in what field? Are you like a biochemist or are you a neuroscientist? What are you? You're a doctor. Okay, you don't count for this, right? So you get enough love, right? Okay, who shouted over here? There we go, fantastic, good to have you here. Well done, congratulations you. The brain is an incredible thing, isn't it? Thank you very much, that's all I need. That is literally almost all I need off you. Just, yes, it is, isn't it, though? It's an amazing thing. It's unlike other organs of the body, you know? I mean, the lungs, you can feel them expanding, you can feel the heart beating. You don't have to open up the knee to see what the knee does, right? But the brain is really intractable. It's very difficult to see the brain functioning, right? To image it as it actually does what it does, right? Even historically, we didn't know what different regions of the brain did unless shit went hideously wrong. Right. There's a very famous story in the psychological sciences about a man called Phineas Gage. Have you heard of Phineas Gage? Yeah. Loads of you heard of it. Phineas Gage worked in the railways in America in the 1840s, 1850s. His job to pin down the railway lines using metal spikes that he would fire into the ground using explosive bolts, right? And one day Phineas is doing this job and he's arranging all of his spikes when one of the bolts went off, shot the spike up. The spike entered Phineas behind his chin, traveled through his head and partially came out the top of his head. So there's a spike traveling to his head. Doctors managed to remove it and Phineas survived. But doctors noted that after the accident, he was noticeably more hostile. And they said that the reason for this is because he damaged the frontal lobes of his brain, and maybe this was the region of his brain that served to damp down violent mood swings. And you're going, oh, maybe. Or maybe it's because a fucking spike just got shot up the back of his face, and now he can't eat steak. I mean, there's many competing theories. And even things that we take for granted or that we use all the time, like our memory. We don't have a full working theory of how memories are laid down or if different memories are stored in different ways. And by different memories, I'll illustrate. I was recently going to the shops. I had a list of things to buy, and I was at the door where my wife goes, we need bread. And I'm there going, well, I don't have a pen on me to put bread onto the list, but don't you worry, it's in there. I have put it in here. I have put bread into my head. Don't you worry, honey, it is in there, right? Now, obviously, I made an arse of it, right? I fecked it up, right? I didn't put bread into the short-term task-solving part of my memory. I put bread into a different region of my memory, a region known as the wank bank. So I came back without any bread. But more disturbingly, later that evening, I had a very strange dream about a sandwich. Oh, 50-50, you're a naughty bread, aren't you, 50-50? What are you? Are you brown bread or white bread? I can't tell. You're a dirty teasing bread. A dirty, dirty bread. Sorry. See, you become like an amateur psychologist anyway if you have children, because you can see their brains develop, as I'm sure my experts will back me up on. A child's brain is very similar to a human brain. But it must be beaten into shape. I'm not going to give you some sentimental guff here about it. If we could only see the world as children see the world, then we'd truly be happy. If, we could only hold on to our childlike innocence and worldview, then we'd truly be, my hole, right? If we still walked around thinking like children, nothing would get done. And stop hitting your sister. There are only two situations in the world where children have got the right idea and we as grown-ups have lost something beautiful. Two. One of them is swimming pools. Jesus, we have ruined swimming pools as adults, right? Kids have the right idea about a swimming pool is you enter at any point, and then when you're in there, you go whatever direction you want. Up, down, left, right, you float, you fart, you do whatever you dreamed of doing in a zero-gravity, frictionless environment. We, grown-ups in our lanes, slowly advancing on the wall, touching the wall, turning around, going to the other wall, the prison yard of the swimming pool experience. The worst thing about swimming in a lane is when you're in a lane on like a hotel on the other side of that row of coasters, there's a family of kids going ape shit with delight. And you're there going, no, you're using it wrong. I say that's the worst thing. That's not the worst thing about swimming in a lane. The worst thing about swimming in a lane is when somebody else joins your lane. Because people don't swim at the same speed, because otherwise it wouldn't be a fucking sport. So now you're either slowly catching up with them or they're slowly catching up with you. And Jesus, the tension is unbearable. I only came in for 30 minutes of cardio and now I'm in the fucking Hunger Games. I have never been on an exercise bike and sensed another exercise bike slowly overtaking me on the outside. Two situations in which kids do it right. Swimming pools and stairs. Jesus, what I wouldn't give to use a stairs the way a child uses a stairs. Particularly in some really grown-up context like a business meeting. To walk out of a business meeting going, well, I'm very unhappy with the results of that particular business meeting. Those quarterly reports you presented are unsatisfactory. And you shall be hearing from my legal team. And then step backwards onto the stairs. And then... Good day. But no, we make them grow up, we teach them things, and I got a problem with what we teach kids. Not the syllabus in school, but the stuff we teach them before they even get to school. The stuff you're supposed to teach kids from 0 to 3, the preschool syllabus, the stuff that presumably we regard as the bedrock of information, the most important stuff we can drill into kids' heads. Jesus, that syllabus is unevolved. The amount of effort I've spent in trying to teach animal noises and pairing the correct farm animal to the correct farm animal noise to two children who live in the middle of London, and in no stage is a cow going to wander randomly into the house. For them to go, oh, geez, the cow. Bah. I mean, you know, you're 4 ages. We've been training for exactly this situation for years now. Animal noises and ABCs. For those of you beyond this or yet to come to this, ABCs are these big thick page books with one word per page in alphabetical order. And they're grand at the start of the book. Actually, they're magical at the start of the book. But when you get to the back of the book, when you get to the freak letters, you are putting the same amount of effort into teaching words to your children that you know you never use as an adult. Xylophone. The hours wasted teaching xylophone. When you look at the xylophone, look at the xylophone. Hardly a day goes by as an adult where someone doesn't go, have you got your xylophone on you, Dara? I have my xylophone on the bus and I have a major xylophone-based event coming up this evening. Someday I would like to meet a professional xylophone player, just to go, how did you get into the xylophone? In the hope that they'll go, well, in my house, when I was growing up, xylophone was just as important as apple, ball, or cat. And I'll go, and is your sister a xylophone player? No, she's an X-ray technician. They are the only two words beginning with X you can use. You cannot use the third word beginning with X. What is the third word beginning with X? Xenophobia. Spot on, chap. Xenophobia, the irrational fear of foreigners. I would love to have an ABC in which the word for X was xenophobia. Just to turn the page and go, look at those faces. They're different, aren't they, those faces? Different to your face. How does that make you feel inside? You're not sure how it makes you feel inside. You don't know what they want. They want your job.